Imagine you're feeling a little under the weather. You've got a fever, your head is pounding, and you can't stop sneezing. So you decide to visit your local doctor. But instead of prescribing you some antibiotics or a nice hot cup of chicken soup, he hands you a live snake and tells you to sleep with it. Sounds crazy, right? Well, welcome to the world of ancient Greek medicine, where the treatments could be just as terrifying as the diseases themselves. Let's take a step back in time, all the way back to ancient Greece, around the 5th century BC. This was a time when philosophy was the talk of the town, democracy was the new kid on the block, and medicine, well, let's just say it was in its experimental phase. Now, when we think of medicine today, we think of sterile hospitals, lab coats, and advanced technology. But in ancient Greece, medicine was more of a mix between religious rituals, home remedies, and what we might consider today as, well, pure guesswork. The Greeks believed that health was all about balance. They thought that the human body was made up of 4 basic substances, known as the 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. According to them, if these 4 humors were in balance, you were as fit as a fiddle. But if they were out of balance, well, you were in for a rough time. So how did they balance these humors? Well, that's where things get interesting. The Greeks had a variety of treatments, some of which might seem a bit unconventional. For example, if they thought you had too much blood, which was a common diagnosis, they would cut you open and let some of it out, a process known as bloodletting. And no, they didn't use sterilized surgical instruments. More often than not, it was just a sharp knife and a prayer to the gods. But bloodletting was just the tip of the iceberg. They also used purging, which involved inducing vomiting or diarrhea to cleanse the body. And if that wasn't enough, they also used a method called cupping, where they would place heated cups on your skin to create a vacuum and draw out disease. And let's not forget about the diet. The Greeks believed that diet played a crucial role in maintaining health. So they prescribed specific diets to balance the humors. If you were diagnosed with an excess of phlegm, you might be advised to avoid dairy and instead eat more warming foods like onions, garlic, and mustard. Now, if you're thinking that all this sounds a bit, well, primitive, you're not wrong. But remember, this was over 2,000 years ago. The concept of germs was still centuries away, and the idea of surgery without anesthesia was the norm, not the exception. But don't pack your bags and cancel your time-traveling trip to ancient Greece just yet. Because while some of their practices were a bit questionable, the ancient Greeks also made some significant contributions to the field of medicine. Contributions that would lay the groundwork for modern medicine as we know it today. Hold on to your togas, because things are about to get even more bizarre. If you thought sleeping with a live snake was strange, wait until you hear about the next astonishing medical practice in ancient Greece. It involves dreams, sacred temples, and a whole lot of faith. Stay tuned, because things are about to get really interesting. Now let's delve into the spiritual side of ancient Greek medicine. You see, the Greeks were a deeply religious people, and they believed that the gods played a significant role in their health. And when it came to healing, they turned to Asclepius, the god of medicine. Asclepius was a pretty popular guy. He was believed to have healing powers, and people from all over Greece would flock to his temples, known as Asclepions, in search of cures for their ailments. But these weren't just temples. They were the ancient equivalent of health spas, complete with baths, gymnasiums, and theaters. But the most fascinating part of these Asclepians was the practice of incubation. No, they weren't hatching eggs. Incubation in this context was a ritual where the sick would sleep in the temple, hoping to receive a dream from Asclepius that would reveal the cure to their illness. That's right, the ancient Greeks believed in dream therapy. Patients would prepare for these healing dreams by purifying themselves through rituals, which included fasting, bathing, and sacrifices to Asclepius. Then, they would sleep in the abaton, a sacred dormitory in the temple, waiting for the god to visit them in their dreams. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, dreams are random, right? Well, not according to the Greeks. They believed that dreams were messages from the gods and that they could provide insights into the nature of illnesses and their cures. And here's where it gets even more interesting. When the patients woke up, they would report their dreams to the temple priests, who would then interpret these dreams and prescribe treatments based on them. These treatments could range from specific diets and physical exercises to more spiritual remedies like prayers and sacrifices. Now, it's easy to dismiss this as mere superstition. But remember, this was a time when the line between the spiritual and the physical was blurred. The Greeks believed that health was not just a matter of the body, but also of the soul. And in their quest for healing, they were willing to explore every possible avenue, even if it meant seeking answers in their dreams. But if you thought dream therapy was the peak of ancient Greek medical oddities, brace yourself. Because up next, we're diving into the world of surgery, where the ancient Greeks performed procedures that were not only astonishing for their time, but would make even the bravest among us squirm. So, if you're squeamish, you might want to look away. But if you're ready for a journey into the world of ancient Greek surgical marvels, stick around. It's going to be a wild ride. Now let's step into the world of ancient Greek surgery. If you're picturing a sterile operating room with bright lights and high-tech equipment, think again. This was a time before anesthesia, before antiseptics, and before the understanding of basic hygiene. But despite these limitations, the ancient Greeks made some astonishing advances in the field of surgery. Enter Hippocrates, often referred to as the father of medicine. This guy was a medical rock star of his time. He's most famous for the Hippocratic Oath, a code of ethics for physicians that's still in use today. But Hippocrates wasn't just about oaths and ethics. He was also a pioneer in the field of surgery. Hippocrates and his followers performed a variety of surgical procedures, many of which were incredibly advanced for their time. They treated fractures and dislocations, used forceps in childbirth, and even performed rudimentary forms of plastic surgery. And they did all this with tools that were, by today's standards, incredibly basic. We're talking knives, drills, and forceps. No fancy lasers or robotic arms here. One of the most astonishing procedures they performed was trepanation, which involved drilling a hole in the skull. Now, if the thought of having a hole drilled in your head without anesthesia makes you cringe, you're not alone. But believe it or not, this procedure was often successful. The patient would be strapped down, a spot on the skull would be chosen, and then a hole would be slowly and carefully drilled. This was done to relieve pressure on the brain, often caused by injuries. But Hippocrates wasn't just a skilled surgeon. He was also a keen observer and a firm believer in evidence-based medicine. He insisted on careful observation and documentation of symptoms, believing that understanding the natural course of diseases was key to treating them. This was a revolutionary concept at a time when most people believed that diseases were caused by the wrath of the gods. Hold on to your laurel wreaths, because we're not done yet. If you thought brain surgery without anesthesia was the height of ancient Greek medical audacity, wait until you hear about the next astonishing practice. It involves herbs, potions, and a dash of magic. Intrigued? Stay tuned because we're about to delve into the mystical world of ancient Greek pharmacology. Let's now venture into the realm of ancient Greek pharmacology, a world filled with mysterious potions, healing herbs, and yes, a touch of magic. The Greeks were renowned for their knowledge of plants and their medicinal properties. They believed that nature held the cure for every aility, and they weren't entirely wrong. Hippocrates, our medical rock star, compiled lists of hundreds of medicinal plants and their uses. He wrote about mint for stomach ailments, willow bark for pain relief, and poppy for inducing sleep. Sounds familiar? That's because these plants are still used in medicines today. Willow bark, for instance, contains salicin, a compound that led to the development of aspirin. The Greeks also had a knack for creating complex potions. These concoctions were a mix of various herbs, wine, and sometimes even snake venom or other exotic ingredients. Each potion was carefully crafted to treat specific ailments, and they were administered with precise instructions, much like a modern prescription. However, Greek pharmacology wasn't just about herbs and potions. It was also intertwined with magic and superstition. They believed in the doctrine of signatures, a theory that suggested that the physical appearance of a plant indicated its medicinal use. For example, a plant that resembled an eye, like the eyebright flower, was used to treat eye ailments. They also used amulets and charms, often inscribed with magical symbols or the names of gods, to ward off diseases. These were worn around the neck or wrist and were believed to offer protection against various ailments. Now, it's easy to dismiss these practices as mere superstition. Yet, it's fascinating to see how the ancient Greeks combined their knowledge of nature with their beliefs to create a holistic approach to medicine. They saw health as a balance between the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, and their medical practices reflected this belief. Ready for more? Good, because we're about to dive into the world of ancient Greek mental health practices. If you thought treating physical ailments was a challenge, imagine trying to treat the mind with just herbs and beliefs. Intrigued? Stick around, because we're about to explore how the ancient Greeks approached one of the most complex aspects of medicine, the human mind. Let's journey into a realm of ancient Greek medicine that's often shrouded in mystery. Now, if you're picturing Greek women lounging around, being fed grapes while getting their daily health checkups, you might want to think again. Women's health in ancient Greece was a complex field, influenced by societal norms, religious beliefs, and a fair bit of guesswork. In ancient Greece, women's bodies were considered mysterious and somewhat perplexing. Much of women's health was tied to reproduction, and the Greeks had a range of beliefs and practices around childbirth and fertility. They worshipped goddesses like Artemis and Eileithyia, who were believed to protect women during childbirth. Midwives played a crucial role in women's health. These were women who had practical knowledge and experience in assisting with childbirth. They provided prenatal care, assisted during labor, and offered postnatal care. They used a variety of tools, including forceps and birthing stools, and they employed techniques like massage and the use of medicinal herbs. But it wasn't all about childbirth. The Greeks also recognized conditions like hysteria, which they believed was caused by the womb wandering around the body. Yes, you heard that right. They thought the womb was a separate creature with a mind of its own. The prescribed treatments for this condition ranged from pleasant smells to lure the womb back into place, to marriage and pregnancy. Women's health was also influenced by societal norms. Women were often secluded during menstruation and childbirth, and there were numerous taboos and superstitions around these natural processes. Despite these challenges, Greek women were active participants in their health, often serving as caregivers and healers within their communities. While the ancient Greeks' understanding of women's health was limited and often steeped in superstition, they laid the groundwork for many modern gynecological practices. They recognized the importance of specialized care for women and acknowledged the unique health challenges faced by women. But don't go away just yet. If you thought wandering wombs and birthing stools were the height of ancient Greek medical practices, you're in for a surprise. Up next, we're going to explore the role of diet and lifestyle in ancient Greek medicine. So, if you've ever wondered what a healthy diet looked like over 2,000 years ago, stick around. We're about to serve up a feast of facts. Now let's take a bite into the world of diet and lifestyle in ancient Greek medicine. The Greeks had a saying, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." They believed that a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle were key to maintaining good health and preventing diseases. The Greek diet was a Mediterranean one, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and olive oil. They consumed moderate amounts of fish and poultry, and red meat was eaten sparingly. They also enjoyed dairy products like cheese and yogurt, and they had a fondness for wine, which was often diluted with water. But the Greeks didn't just eat anything. They believed in the concept of optimum diet, which was the idea that the best diet was one that was tailored to an individual's age, occupation, and health status. For example, athletes were advised to eat more meat for strength, while older people were advised to eat lighter meals. Physical activity was also an essential part of Greek lifestyle. The Greeks valued physical fitness and believed in the idea of a healthy mind in a healthy body. Gymnasiums were common in Greek cities, where citizens would engage in physical exercises like running, wrestling, and discus throwing. They also recognized the importance of mental well-being. They believed in maintaining a balance between work and leisure, and valued activities like music, theater, and philosophical discussions. However, the Greeks also had their share of unhealthy habits. They knew about the harmful effects of excessive drinking and warned against gluttony. They also recognized the health risks of sedentary lifestyles and stressed the importance of regular physical activity. The ancient Greeks' emphasis on diet and lifestyle in maintaining health was truly ahead of its time. Their holistic approach to health, which included a balanced diet, regular physical activity, and mental well-being, is still relevant today. But hold on to your olive wreaths, because we're not done yet. Up next, we're going to delve into the world of ancient Greek dentistry. If you thought pulling a tooth without anesthesia was the worst thing imaginable, wait till you hear about the dental practices of ancient Greece. So brace yourself, because we're about to take a bite into some truly fascinating history. Let's now delve into a topic that might make you clench your teeth a bit: ancient Greek dentistry. Now, if you're imagining a comfortable dentist chair and the soothing hum of modern dental equipment, you're in for a surprise. Dentistry in ancient Greece was a far cry from what we're used to today. The ancient Greeks were among the first to study dental health and disease. They knew about dental decay and gum disease, and they had treatments for these conditions. They used a variety of tools, including forceps and drills, and they had a basic understanding of tooth anatomy. One of the most common dental procedures was tooth extraction. Now, remember, this was a time before anesthesia, so tooth extraction was a painful affair. The patient would be held down, and the dentist would use forceps to pull out the problematic tooth. Ouch! But the Greeks didn't just stop at pulling teeth. They also had treatments for gum disease, which included cleaning the gums and using medicinal rinses. They even had a form of toothpaste made from ingredients like crushed bones and oyster shells. One of the most fascinating aspects of Greek dentistry was their understanding of the importance of oral hygiene. They used toothpicks and mouthwashes, and they knew that a clean mouth was essential for good health. However, Greek dentistry was not without its flaws. Their treatments were often painful and invasive, and their understanding of dental health was limited by the medical knowledge of the time. Yet, their contributions to dentistry laid the foundation for many modern practices. They were among the first to recognize the importance of oral health and to develop treatments for dental diseases. But don't go away just yet. If you thought ancient Greek dentistry was fascinating, wait till you hear about their approach to public health. Up next, we're going to explore how the ancient Greeks managed the health of their cities and their citizens. So stay tuned, because we're about to uncover some truly groundbreaking public health practices. Now, let's journey into the world of public health in ancient Greece. The Greeks were pioneers in many fields, and public health was no exception. They understood the importance of hygiene and sanitation in preventing diseases, and they implemented a range of public health measures to ensure the well-being of their citizens. The Greeks were among the first to build public bathhouses, which were common in many Greek cities. These bathhouses were not just places for personal hygiene, but also social hubs where citizens could meet and interact. They also had strict rules about waste disposal and street cleaning, and they implemented measures to ensure the cleanliness of their cities. But the Greeks didn't just stop at cleanliness. They also understood the importance of clean water and built elaborate systems to supply their cities with fresh water. They had aqueducts and pipes to transport water from springs and rivers, and they built fountains and public wells for citizens to access this water. The Greeks also had a basic understanding of disease prevention. They knew that certain diseases were more common in dirty environments, and they implemented measures to prevent these diseases. For example, they had laws about burying the dead outside the city limits to prevent the spread of diseases. They also believed in the importance of a healthy environment. They chose the locations of their cities carefully, considering factors like climate, water supply, and the quality of the soil. They believed that a healthy environment led to healthy citizens. However, Greek public health practices were not without their flaws. Their understanding of disease was limited, and their public health measures were often based on observation and guesswork rather than scientific knowledge. Yet their contributions to public health laid the groundwork for many modern practices. They were among the first to recognize the importance of public health and to implement measures to ensure the well-being of their citizens. But hold on to your laurel wreaths, because we're not done yet. Up next, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of ancient Greek veterinary medicine. If you thought treating human patients was a challenge, wait till you hear about the medical practices for animals in ancient Greece. So stay tuned, because we're about to explore some truly fascinating veterinary history. Finally, let's venture into a field that's often overlooked in the annals of medical history: veterinary medicine in ancient Greece. The Greeks had a deep respect for animals, and they developed a range of treatments and practices to ensure their health and well-being. The ancient Greeks were primarily an agrarian society, and animals played a crucial role in their daily lives. They relied on animals for food, labor, and companionship. As such, maintaining the health of their animals was of paramount importance. Greek veterinary medicine was heavily influenced by human medicine. They applied many of the same principles and practices, including the theory of the four humors. They believed that animals, like humans, had a balance of humors that needed to be maintained for good health. The Greeks had a range of treatments for animals, including dietary changes, medicinal herbs, and surgical procedures. They treated wounds, fractures, and common diseases, and they had a basic understanding of animal anatomy and physiology. One of the most notable figures in Greek veterinary medicine was Hippocrates, who wrote extensively about animal diseases and their treatments. He recognized the similarities between human and animal diseases, and he advocated for a holistic approach to veterinary medicine. However, Greek veterinary medicine was not without its challenges. Animals couldn't communicate their symptoms or pain, making diagnosis and treatment difficult. Additionally, Their understanding of animal health was limited by the medical knowledge of the time. Yet, their contributions to veterinary medicine laid the groundwork for many modern practices. They were among the first to recognize the importance of animal health and to develop treatments for animal diseases. From wandering wombs to public bathhouses, from Hippocrates' oath to veterinary practices, the Greeks truly left an indelible mark on the field of medicine. So the next time you visit a doctor or take a pill, remember the ancient Greeks and their remarkable contributions to the world of medicine. After all, as the saying goes, everything old is new again. Check out the next video if you enjoyed this one.